Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Jimbos Garage. Well, I got a little situation right here. As you can see, I got all my welding jackets draped over my drafting table chair, and it's literally making it impossible for me to sit down. I just have no place to put these things. I mean, I've got 5 or 6 or 7 of these things, and I just keep piling them up over the chair. And you know, I got to get a little bit more organized is what I got to do. I happen to have the space right here behind me, and I thought it'd be a great idea to make a welding jacket stand. You know, free up my chair, out of the way, nice and organized. Great way to go. You guys know I like to be organized, at least as best I can. Now I know you guys are probably saying, well, you can buy one on Amazon or someplace for 20 bucks, and yes, you can. But what fun would that be? We're gonna make one. I've got the stuff in my shop right here left over from various projects to put together what I think will be a pretty nice stand for my welding jacket. So let's get started. Alright, so I went up to my metal rack there above my workbench, and I've got this 2-inch square tube in 063, pretty thin material, and I just thought that this would, I've got quite a bit of it, and I should say I got just enough to do the project, I think. And so I thought this would be the appropriate material, you know, just left over. I'm probably not going to use it for anything else. Just cut everything up to the right angles that I needed. I got 4 legs right here that are roughly 15 inches long, and cut them on a 45, and then I just cut a piece of straight stock around 5 feet, and took it over to the belt sander, just deburred everything prior to welding everything together. You know, I like to do that. These things create a lot of burrs when you use a cut-off saw there, but belt sander works out really good for that. Before I you know, weld everything together, I like wiping everything down with the acetone. You know, from the metal supply store, it comes with this thin coating of oil. I would imagine that's prevent it from rusting. So once you clean everything off, everything is nice and clean and shiny, and it makes for a good project to weld with. You can see I'm starting out right here, and these are the 45, the legs, and I'm just welding them right on. And that's the idea, is to get 4 all the way around on both sides. And you can see right here, I had a little bit of trouble getting this one on. I had to put a couple of more additional tacks on the bottom. I didn't want it to move around. Then I took my flap disc and kind of ground a little bit of those welds off to get it nice and flat, so that piece should fit on there nice and flat, and it did. And then just repeated the process here on the other side. Using the HTP Pro Pulse 200 for this, and you can see I'm in the pulse mode. Once I got there, I just adjusted the metal thickness to the thickness I was using, which ended up being somewhere around 220 inches a minute, about 19 volts. So I'm going through here pretty quick. You know, this is pretty thin material. I just didn't want to burn through, and just went around and just caught all the edges. Worked out pretty good. You know, I've been using this machine for a few months now, and this thing is really comfortable to work with, and really easy to work with. And you can see there's some of the welds right there. You know, they're not the prettiest things, but I was in a hurry. I was moving fast, and I just didn't want to have any burn through. And, you know, I didn't. Just covered everything up. It'll be okay. It'll be just fine. That takes care of the first part of the project. It's time to move on. Okay, well, the first part of the welding jacket stand or rack is complete. Now it's time to put some hooks of some sort on here. Now I got a different idea for that. Now you could always use something really simple. Just weld something on all the way around, 4, maybe 6 or 8, but that's too easy. We gotta have some fun with it. So I got an idea, and let me show you what it is. Okay, so I've got this 1/2-inch round bar stock that I had left over from a project that I did a while back, and you know, I didn't want to throw this stuff away, so I just threw it in my scrap bin over here, and I knew that someday I'd use it for something. This is going to be perfect for what we're going to use it for, and it just so happens I've got 8 pieces, just enough. Okay, so I got my 8 pieces around bar stock 1/2 inch diameter here, and so the idea here is to what I'm thinking anyway is to bend about a 3/4 circle on the bottom here, and then we'll come up about 8 inches or so, bend this on a 45. So we'll have 4 hooks on the top part and then a half hook underneath. That'll create 4 more. That'll be 8, and then I'm going to make 4 more half or these 3/4 circles for the intermediate section of the stand itself. So I'll have 4 more down there for maybe like a welding helmet or something like that, or some hats or whatever. So that's the plan. I've created this little jig right here. You guys always hear me talk about jigs, and you know, this is the easier way to do things. And so I've made this thing as some scrap that I had laying around. I'm hoping this is going to help me to be able to make this half circle that I'm talking about. So anyways, let's break out the Hillbilly Forge and see what we can do. All right, when I say the Hillbilly Forge, it's just my acetylene torch there. I use this quite often this way. I just clamp it in a little vise to my welding table, and you know, I don't do a lot of stuff like this, but when I do, this worked out pretty good here. Just heated that up, and you can see in the background right there me working the jig. Here's another shot of that. Again, just heat the material up really nice and smooth. It sure made it really easy sticking it in my little jig right there, and then just bending it around. Super easy. I can imagine trying to do this without any heat on it. You'd be pounding on it forever. But anyways, this didn't take too long at all, and it was well worth it. And let's see, what did I have? I had 12 of these things, 8 of these things to do here. So there it is. I'm just bending the 45s. It worked out pretty good. Didn't take too long to do that. And the next step is to get over to the old bandsaw, Portaband, and cut everything to length. And I had those the 4 with the 45 and 4 shorter ones, and there they all are right there. That all worked out pretty good. You know, I got this crazy idea here. I'm just not going to leave well enough alone. I wanted to put some ends on each of those. There's 12 pieces, and so I went over and grabbed this like 1 inch or 7/8. It might be 7/8 round bar stock, and then I made this tool, cutting tool on the lathe that creates this half round circle. You can see that basically once I just get it set in the right position, I just drive the lathe right in, and it just cuts perfect half round. This is the idea that I wanted to do, and you know, I don't know, I get thinking about these things, and this, in my mind, this is what I thought I should do. So you'll see here in a minute how this is all gonna play out. But I got my parting tool right here, and I went in, and you know, I don't know, I must have had not something right adjusted on the lathe. It kept stalling on me a little bit. Maybe the tool wasn't in the right position or whatever. But ultimately, I just parted it down about halfway right here, and then I went back to that same cutting tool that I had, and then reversed it here on the back side just to cut a little bit of bevel in on the back side. I didn't want that sharp edge right here. Made just a little adjustment right here, and got in there, and that worked out really good. This is, you know, I made 12 of these, and this is probably the first one, so it was a little on the rough side here. I mean, as I got going, things got a little bit better and a little bit faster, but ultimately, there it is. And then I decided to take the parting tool in there again and cut it down to where there was just about 1/4 of an inch left on it. And then I just took some emery cloth and just softened that up a little bit. And when it was all done, took it over the bandsaw and just cut that little nub right off right there. Now, like I said, had 12 of them to make. Took me a couple hours to do that. I don't want to bore you guys with it. I just want to show you the process, what I did and how I did it to make these things. That's the idea right there. Again, over to the belt sander, flatten it out on the back side so I had something flat to weld to. And once I got that done, you know, here's the 12 pieces right there. Yeah, not too bad. They turned out pretty good. It'll all work. So I'm trying to figure out how the right way, you know, we talk about jigs and propping things up the right way. You know, it's such a weird angle that I couldn't find a decent angle to hold these things in position. So there it is. I got using a hole I had in my welding table, dropped that in. I'm using what looks like a belt clip or something from a tape measure that just was the right angle, enough to get in there to you know, tack these things into position on the end. Now you can see that, you know, I thought I was going to be, you know, welding it and using some filler rod with this, but as I got started with this, I realized that, you know, fusing this thing together worked out really good. And yeah, there's a little bit of undercut, you know, but I'm not too worried about that. This is no structural thing here. And it was just so much easier just to blast tack it together right here in a couple spots. And once everything was tacked together, basically just fusion all the way around. And, you know, it was fast, it was quick, and, you know, it worked out really good. So, you know, I had 12 of these things to do, and that worked out pretty good. You might remember this. This is another jig I had from the Soils Pro video. I hung on to it because I just knew I was going to use it for something else down the road. And you can see it's a little rusted because it's been a while. But basically, this worked out pretty good for the top part of these. I was able to hold it in position here and get them tacked into position and get a partial weld. I went to turn it around right here, and I could not get it to clamp in there because it was a weird angle. So ultimately the decision was to just hold it and spin it, and actually that was the best way to go. That actually worked pretty good. This part of it, just initially getting it tacked, was perfect. Saved a lot of time. And then the rest of them, the rest of the way out, I just took it out and just spun them around. Worked out really good. You know, you can see right there, blast tack, and then, you know, just spinning it around and just create a good fusion right there. A little bit undercut, but hey, there it is right there. You can see that's not too bad. Again, I'm just trying to hold those nubs on. And there they are. All right, so now it's time to get them welded on the stand itself. We're getting close to being done right here. So I brought the stand down. I had it sitting in the corner there while I was doing all this stuff, and I stuck this piece of flat plate on the very top because I wanted to get these hooks all nice and flat, and I thought this might be the easiest way to do it. So, you know, a couple of tacks in there, and I'm only welding about an inch down on top and bottom. It's all I really need to do. It just there's no structural value right here. I saw no need to weld this thing completely all the way out, all the way down. So just a couple of tacks and a couple of 1-inch beads top and bottom is all we really need. Still using the pulse mode method on the machine. It's working pretty good. And then I just repeated here on the bottom half, the bottom part of the hooks of this, and I just held them all in place, and then just went ahead and finished them out. Now I needed to put, I didn't need to, but I wanted to put something a little decorative on the very top of this thing, and I'm going to let you guys try to figure out what it is I'm going to do with it. But I thought about it for a little bit, and this is what I came up with. And here I am cutting out some 1/8-inch thick flat plate with a 3-inch hole saw. And I can only imagine that took a little bit of time there on my drill press, but ultimately got it done. And then just deburred it on the belt grinder right there. And then I just took a short piece of 1/2-inch round stock and grinded that to a semi-point. And over the bandsaw and cut that off. And now it's time for a little assembly. So there's the points going on the center of the 2-inch square. Just going to go ahead and weld this around. And then the round piece of flat plate, weld it to the top of the point, and then weld that to the top of the rack itself. Tried to get it as square as I can. And then just went ahead and then welded that all the way around. You can see me like stitch welding that all the way around. It was kind of thin. I didn't want to burn through, so I just kind of stitch welded all the way around. That worked out pretty good. And just took a flap disc and cleaned up the edges. And there it is. You know, it was a lot of fun making this. Turned out pretty good. Got a coat of paint on it. And hey, what more better way to finish this off is to put a Jimbos Garage sticker on the top. You know what? The jacket's hung on there perfectly. Everything worked just the way I thought it would. Turned out really great. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more videos.
See you next time on Jimbos Garage.